Welcome to the Laugh, Learn, Love podcast, where I'm your host, Mr. aka Jeffrey Mr. Right beside me is my wife of almost 15 plus years. Almost 15 years, 2 kids, and a honey-do list you don't even want to know about.
Mrs. Mr., aka Dana Mr., and together we are
the Misters. Yeah. And today we have two of the bravest people I know personally. And not just like I heard of them or, somebody has sent us a message about, you need to have these people on the podcast. I know these two people personally. And so today we are talking about Heaven's subject in terms of after death does us part. So after death does us part. So getting to it first, I'd love for them to introduce themselves, who they are. We'll kind of get into more of their story. But when I tell you, if you are listening or watching right now, do not turn from this. This is something we all need to hear. You've seen Vanessa Bryant have to go through some different things. You've seen Lauren London have to go through some different things. And so we have two people here that are real life people that we can talk to who have made it through the unthinkable. So you think of what the unthinkable is, and who have made it and still surviving out here. So love that. So I let them introduce themselves to you.
Miss Rekeshia, welcome.
Yeah, I love the locks, lady. I love the locks.
Thank you for being with us today. So yes.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Dinah. Of course, when my heart is overwhelmed, I'm so thankful that I can go to the rock. I am Rekeshia Hudson. I am a lover of Jesus. I am a super extreme extrovert. I am the mother of Chance and Riley, and I'm so thankful to you two for having me on this platform so that I can share my story as I'm able to journey with others throughout this time in their lives.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rekeshia.
Hudson, yes.
All right, Mr. Charles Ray.
Yes, check his beard out though. see how I don't know if he was freshly right before we kicked off. I'm not gonna tell his secret. Okay. I'm not gonna tell his secret.
But Charles,
you got it.
You're here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Charles.
Thank you all for having me. My name is Charles Ray. I am the father of Caitlin and Chloe, my two girl best friends. I am grateful to be on this platform to tell my story of getting over a loss and trying to progress into this new age. So I am blessed and highly favored. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And two things I do want to point out, as you guys can see, Rekeshia and Charles both are young people. So this is not something that Earl, like 80, 90, but they're both young people. So again, it just goes to show that it can happen to any of us. Life happens. And so we're so grateful for you guys being here today and for sharing your story.
Yes. So thank you. And so if you're listening for the first time, this is called the Laugh, Learn, Love podcast. And every episode, regardless of whatever we like to laugh, learn, and love, and we get into it every single time. Normally, we kick off with the MF Help Me. That's Mr. Family for the MF. Mr. Family Help Me, where we take your questions. We aren't doing it this week because I think when you get into this podcast, they're going to help us through a lot of things and miss this. But we still are going to laugh as we kick it off, and I have not told them about this. So we're actually going to kick you guys off with the Mr. 13 new segment. You're the first people to ever do this segment here. The Mr. 13 is 13 rapid fire questions where you say the first thing that enters your mind.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna kick it off, but it's gonna go quick.
Let me get my sweat towel.
Y'all ready?
Ready? Have my forehead.
Okay, hold on. Who's going first? Who wants to go first? Because it's 2 rounds. We got round 1.
Charles.
Ladies first.
Okay, you going first. Okay. All right, round 1. All right, you ready?
13.
You ready?
Pop. I can't do 13 shots, but you get the point.
You ready, Rekeshia?
Yes, I'm ready.
She's on the clock.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Testing or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Every day.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
New York City.
Okay.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Still call me Miss Polly.
Last song you downloaded?
I don't know. Bruno Mars.
Okay, awesome. Great song, by the way. Okay. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
speak every language in the world.
Awesome. Favorite holiday?
All of them.
How long does it take you to get ready?
7 minutes. I got kids.
Scale of 1 to 10. How good of a driver are you?
I do my best for me. According to me, 6.
Okay. Fill in the blank. OJ is
orange juice.
I was gonna say guilty.
It's my cousin. OJ,
At what age do you want to retire?
45 is good.
Okay. Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. All right, good. Charles Ray, ready?
Charles, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right, Rekeshia survived. Rekeshia, you survived. People don't make it to that 13 bullets. They don't make it to about 6 bullets in. They like, shut it down. Shut it down. Charles in his freshly
glistened beard.
His freshly grown beard. All right, Charles, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
With Charles on the clock.
It's a different set of questions, Charles.
It's a different set.
So
I'm trying to go off her question. I'm like, oh my God. I got my ass.
Nope. We got, it said Mr. 13. 13 shots. All right, count me down, Miss Mr.
3, 2, 1.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Butter pecan.
Say a word in Spanish.
¿Qué?
Do you believe in fate?
Yes.
Favorite number?
13.
Who has it easier, men or women?
Women.
Yes. Have you
lies? All lies.
You with it right now. Next one is, have you ever worn socks with sandals?
I did that earlier. My bad.
Drives me crazy.
Oh, I love it. Name a primate besides monkeys and apes.
Koala, bear, apis.
Let me reload. Why can't we tickle ourselves?
Because we are unable to know about our sensory glands for laughing.
Whoa! I was like, that's a good question. All right.
I went first.
I know. I was prepared. What does a person need to be happy?
Joy.
All right. Is there a such thing as objective beauty?
Yeah.
What's the best age?
41.
If R. Kelly offered you a hug, would you accept?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm trying to get paid.
You safe, Charles. You safe. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
No. I don't know what that hands mean.
COVID-19 too?
No,
what you said?
I'm thinking about 3 or 4 times. I gotta get
no,
sir. On every bite I eat. I don't want no.
You get one plate. You get one plate with your name on it.
That's right, bro.
Yes.
Give it up for Charles for surviving the Mr. 13.
Good job, Rekeshia.
That was fun.
Mr. 13. So, all right. So you try these questions if you're listening right now with somebody in your family, your mate, your spouse, your kids, anybody, and see what they say. So on every episode, we like to laugh, learn, and love. So thank you guys for being our first contestants on the Mr. 13. So you're going down to
history. 15. 15 would have been good because, it's our year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, next time you need to do 15.
Oh, okay. We can't do the next people with Mr. 15 with Mr. 13. We got to get them 2 more questions. So, okay. So, yeah. So, thank y'all. And so, every episode we like to laugh, learn, and love. We're getting to the learn part about this, learn more about you guys. So, if we can start back before, right? So, thinking back before, you kind of put your mind back before, how did you meet your mate and what was life like before? So,
Rekeshia, you want to go first?
Okay, so short and sweet because I am long-winded. Cleo and I met in high school. I was getting over, I like to joke about, ninth grade year. Okay. I was getting over a boyfriend, and Cleo was, he sought after me. I wasn't interested. Of course, my cousins reminded me constantly that this boy likes you. He really likes you. He's been liking you since Havenview. And I was shy, believe it or not, I was shy early on in school. So I gave it a shot. Of course, my friends coached me into giving him my phone number. I never forget. We were by my biology teacher's classroom. And from that point, we exchanged phone numbers and we started talking, as we would say back in the day. So we're having phone conversations and we started dating. So I was 15 years old and Cleo was 16 years old. So we were high school sweethearts.
Oh, that was all right. Nice little 15. Okay. Going to the picture show. A little date out. I'm say a little picture show right there. All right, Charles. Yeah, Charles, same question.
So Aaron and I met at Ole Miss. She was her junior year, I was going to my sophomore year. And our mutual friend, Merk Price, introduced us because they were working together at Payless. And, she said I was cute because, of course. And that's where it started from. And I remember our first date, we went to the old movie theater at the mall in Oxford. Yeah. And I told the boys about it. And it just so happened that everybody showed up. All the boys showed up. So we were all in the same movies while I'm on my first date with her. And, that just solidified everything from the first date. It was just from there. We met at Ole Miss.
Wow. Yes. Now, how long were you guys married?
Yeah.
We were married 14 years. So we were dating for 2.5 and we married for 14 years.
Okay. And Rekeshia?
And so Cleo and I had dated 7 years prior to being married, and we were married for 10 years before he passed.
Okay. All right. So follow-up question to that, right? How did you know that was the person that you wanted to marry? Like, what was it a moment that you were like, I just like the way he chewing his popcorn, or I just love the way she, pop her knuckles or something. It's just, it's sexy to me. What was that? Could you put your finger on one moment that you were like, oh my, look at,
So no, it was none of that. But anyway.
I was like, if it was any of that, then that's another conversation to have.
Nothing hit the spot.
It was, what's so crazy is Cleo and I were night and day. Folks would say that he was a little rough around the edges, but he was really quiet though. And of course, me, a little goody two shoes, right? So anyway, but what really made me know that Cleo was my husband, and people laugh at me when I say this because I knew in the 10th grade, we started dating when I was in the 9th grade, but I knew he was my husband in 10th grade. Cleo was supposed to be zoned to Westwood High School, but he ended up graduating from Whitehaven High School. His daddy was going to transfer him to Westwood. Well, he thought he was assigned to Westwood, but he didn't realize that they had put him up from the 10th grade to the 12th grade, so he had not checked the roster. He was looking at the 11th grade roster. So me being my nurturing self, I checked all the rosters, and I called his daddy, and I said, no, Mr. Hudson, I said, Cleo is on the 12th grade roster. And so from that point, he came from Westwood back to Whitehaven and registered him for 12th grade at Whitehaven. And I used to always tell Cleo, I said, because my husband's mom passed when he was 9 years old. And I said, your mom sent me to you. You do realize that I am your godsend. And of course, if you had gone over there to Westwood, there's no telling where you would end up right now.
You say that, brother.
So jokingly, we used to always joke about that. But at that point, I knew then. So just kind of going through the phases of dating, just those different stages of growing up with him. You know how it goes. You've got a lot of stuff to fall off of you when you're young, but that's what kept me, because the Lord had shown me at that point that this is going to be somebody that you're supposed to be with forever. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Wow, love it.
Charles, how did you know that Aaron was the one?
Well, my story isn't like hers, like Miss Rekeshia's at all. She had cooked me some beef tips and rice. It was starving them days. I was hungry.
Hold on, say it one more time, Charles. They may have missed. Say it one more time.
Some beef tips and rice.
So she went to your stomach, huh? She got.
She was at the
She could cook.
She had cooked at the AK house because she was staying there, and I mean she had one of them big plates too. They couldn't close down on them. Man, I ate for like 2 days. 2 days. I'm like, yeah, I'm going mad. So they ain't get that recipe.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. That's what they say. That's the word of the truth. Is that true?
Yeah, that is. That's how she got me. But yeah, I definitely, that was a moment for me.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, so love the story. Different, in times, college and high school, Rekeshia stalked Cleo down to the right circle. But it worked out.
I got a husband at the deal.
Whatever. So ladies, listen, a lot of single ladies do listen to podcasts. So you see that? Find out which zone he's in. Get him.
All I'm saying, check the rosters, ladies.
Check the list twice.
And call his daddy.
Yes,
call him.
Be able to cook. Be able to cook.
Yes. Hold on, let me say this. There's a lot of microwaving helpers out there that's missing out. Now, YouTube, you got all type of tutorials. Your grandma, anybody.
Or you could be like me. I only knew how to cook chicken pot pie.
I told him.
And Jeffrey can't stand chicken pot pie.
I tried to.
So I had to learn to cook.
I said, This if we go, hey, all right now, if I gotta pay these down payments on this ring, you're gonna have to. I gotta drop these 97 installments or whatever. Every kiss don't begin with K from home. So yeah, so getting there. So okay, cool. So all right, so okay, fast forwarding, right? So fast forwarding, you guys married, for several years.
Had kids, everything.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
yep. So now take us to like around that time. I don't know if so most people are listening like, oh my goodness, like I can't even imagine, what that would be like. If you can, I know it's tough, but like take us to
the moment.
Yeah, the moment
of the unthinkable.
Yes.
So every day is a moment of the unthinkable, if you will allow me to be honest, without having to relive that, because then we will have to cut the podcast. I'm just going to be honest.
There you go.
But it was just a life change, I think being in that moment, all I could think about is the lack of, of course, you get to a point in your life where you feel like you've checked all the boxes. You did everything the way that it was supposed to be done. I married my husband a virgin, okay? And of course, I graduated from college, married him. We moved into our home. We never lived together before we married. Just all of the things that I thought were the right things to do. Of course, overcome the hard things in life. We lost 2 children before we actually had 2 children, and overcame all of that. I was his biggest supporter. He was my biggest supporter. I'm not very easy to get along with. I have a strong opinion. I'm a very strong-willed person and not a malicious person. I mean any harm, but I'm right most of the time. That's what I think. So anyway, Cleo had got I found my person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I found my person.
Yeah, somebody.
I grew up with this person. I grew up with this person. This person loved me in my good. He loved me in my bad. I loved him in his good and in his bad. He liked me. That's important, right? He liked me.
Say that again. Say that again. Yeah.
And so all of this was going through my mind. I'm thinking, oh my God, this just snatched away from me just like that. Wow. And then to think about what my children would be missing, all of this is going through my head and losing him just that quick. the lack of, those developmental milestones that we will not endure together. So that's why I say every day is unthinkable, because of course in that moment, but day by day, there's so many things that we realize in our house that we won't ever experience because dad is not here, or because my husband is not here and he's not coming back.
Yeah. That's Rekeshia. How old were your girls? Oh, was Chance? Wow.
Chance was 7. She had just turned 7, November 19th. Cleo passed away December 13th. And Riley was 2. He was 2 years old.
Yeah. Wow. So you're very young in the sense of that.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah.
So Charles, what about you?
Similar to what Ms. Rekeshia said, it's hard when you have everything planned out. You try to do everything right. Met in college, got married, had daughters, had a house, doing everything you're supposed to. And all of a sudden, it's just a complete 180. Like I said, I have 2 daughters, and my biggest thing is from where they were when she was here to where they are now, it's just day and night. And if she can just see them growing up and getting older. Erin was diagnosed with CML, which is leukemia, when she was pregnant with our youngest daughter. So, she had been dealing with an issue the whole time, but you still can't be prepared for if something was to happen. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. And I will say this, I am grateful for my friends and family, because my friends stepped up for me. They were there for me. And that, regardless of what anybody says, you need someone in your corner. You need someone there for you, because you're just going through the motion. You don't know what's really happening. Yeah. People can tell you, oh, you did this, but you don't recall. Like, I remember the day of the funeral. I remember everything that happened, but I don't recall it. Okay. And it's just some of the pictures I can go back and see. I'm like, okay, I remember this and I remember that. But you need someone in your support corner to be there for you, because there's nothing you can prepare for at all.
Totally agree.
Because she was diagnosed with your oldest daughter. She was pregnant with your oldest daughter. Or your
with our youngest. She was diagnosed with our youngest daughter.
Yeah, because now how old is your youngest daughter now?
Chloe now is 11, and Caitlin is 13.
Okay, and how old were they when she passed?
They were 7. It was 4 years ago. So they were 9 and 5.
So young too. Yeah. So like you said, it's the unthinkable of just trying to pick up, through those things, and preparing for this. Like, I looked up like the 6 stages of grieving. Like, one, so like listen to these. I want you to, just kind of chime in on any of these. You're like, hey, I remember being in this process, or anything of that. So the first one is numbness and denial. So like, denying, which that's what I would think, like, man, like this can't be real, And then next is anxiety and panic, then bargaining, then anger, then depression, and then acceptance. So I'll run through those again. So denial, kind of like anxiety, panic, then bargaining, anger, depression, and then acceptance. So those 6 stages.
Do you guys feel like that was true for you, or do you feel like it's still an everyday journey where you experience all these emotions at one time, or it's an up and down type of emotions? Yeah.
The biggest thing that for me, this is from how my perspective is, people tell you that you go through those 6 stages, but they are not in that chronological order, and you can go back to them. You can be depressed one day, and then the next day you have anxiety. So it's not that clear-cut way that people are going to tell you, okay, you're going to go through these 6 stages. Sometimes you can go through 2 and 3. It all depends on that person. And I know for me, I went through every one of them, still to this day, there's still things that I'm trying to be in acceptance with, because it's hard to accept what's happening when you have children. Yeah. And, that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just trying to have her legacy with the girls. So I want to make sure that they always remember her legacy and who she was.
Yeah, great point, Charles, too. Yeah, I want to commend both of you all. You all are great parents, just through just the unthinkable of still doing everything that's needed. Charles always says, he has 2 broke best friends. I feel like that now. We got 2 broke ones that They love eating up all the groceries and whatnot too. So, salute to you guys.
What
too.
about you, Rekeshia? What are your thoughts about that? Is it, because like I said, I tell people this, only you know how to grieve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I work with people all the time, with families all the time, and I'm just like, look, there are no words for me to share with you. Grieve the way you need to grieve. You're gonna be angry, you're gonna be frustrated. I mean, like there are moments where I'm sure you probably was angry at God and asked why and all of that. And I feel like that's fine. I believe God is big enough to handle our questions,
Most
right?
definitely.
So my thing is, Rekeshia, what would you say about the 6 stages of grief and all those good things?
So my pamphlet is in response to those stages of grief. And of course, there is a widow. There's a track for widows as well. So I've included that as well in the pamphlet. But I speak to my experience in those stages. And of course, it wasn't always in that order. Initially, it was shock, of course, and denial. But I had to affirm, if that makes sense, what was true. So there were days that I would look in the mirror, and you guys will read it once this is published. You guys will get a chance to read my stages and my experience in those stages. But I looked in the mirror and I said to myself regularly, Rekeshia, Cleo is dead. He is not coming back. I had to identify with what was real and what was true, because I continued to say that things would get better, things would be okay. In my mind, I'm thinking, because I'm in the stage of denial, I'm thinking what is not true could be. So I had to identify with what was real and true, and that is jumping to acceptance, but feeling this anxiety and this stress and bargaining. Well, if I had done this, then this would have happened. Just having to adapt and mobilize in this new space. But then there are days where I didn't want to face what was real and what was true. Of course, you have all of these feelings going on at one time. And so you do want to dodge it. And the best way to do that is isolation. That's a stage as well. Isolation is a stage of grief. And I do remember seeing married people and being bitter about that. I remember seeing children with their fathers and being bitter about that. And I had to remind myself that that's not who I really am. You know what I mean? Like, I love, which is why I was married and why I decided to have a family, because I love love. It's a gift from God. But my experience during that time was anger. I was angry, and not so much I wasn't so much mad at God as I was mad at my situation. Of course, super young, 33. I was 33. My husband was 35 when he passed away. And just being kind of set, you kind of set in your ways. And of course, I've got children, not a perfect family, but ideal. People looked up to our family and they thought it was a beautiful thing. And of course, it's always admirable to see a Black family that sticks together no matter what it is that you have to go through. So just going through all of those stages together, I thought some days I was crazy, because one moment I would be excited about my life. Then there would be other times where I wouldn't want to be around people. I was just straight momming. Now, that's one thing I never neglected. I always did everything that my children had to do. But as far as myself, it was just straight survival mode. I was in therapy, and the therapist reminded me, Rekeshia, you just need to focus on your needs, your basic needs, just making sure that, you're eating, you know what I mean? You're getting your sunshine, you're staying connected, to the point that Charles made. Of course, support system is everything. Just making sure that I'm not pushing away the people that love me because I am isolating myself, but just super thankful that they knew me and they know me well, and they knew how my loss drastically changed me. So me withdrawing from them wasn't to be mean, but it's just hurt not knowing how to navigate and live in that space. But I'm so thankful that they were patient with me and they didn't stop. You think I'm strong. When I say didn't stop, would knock on the door until somebody opened it, would sit in the backyard and didn't
like we here. Once you get finished yourself,
like
we are here.
You can be in there you can sit there if you want. I'm right here.
You can't get to your car without
can't get to they gotta go somewhere tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
So just thankful that just so thankful that that even through those stages that overlapped sometime and I thought I was crazy, my friends and my family, you know, they stuck right there beside me. They were right by my side to get me to the place that I'm in now.
And Rekeshia, you made a good point, and that's for the people who may have friends that may be experiencing loss, right? Like as friends, we still need to stick it out. Like don't quit on your friend because they are experiencing so many different emotions. So it's so easy for us to be like, well, you know what? They won't call me. I'm just gonna give them time. No, like you want to be there. You want to be in that backyard. You want to be on their front porch. You know, you want to be there for them because again, your mind, I'm sure, is all over the place. So and so the kids, like, how did you guys, you know, if you want to touch on it, for those who may be experiencing loss or whatnot, or for those, you know, unfortunately, future loss, I mean, because death is inevitable, like for people who may be listening to this, like, how would you share, like, especially for couples with younger kids, like how did you share that, or what was your process, or how did, you know, just, you know, you can touch briefly on that because I know it's a sensitive subject when it comes to kids.
Well, I have an awesome and amazing, very intentional pastor, and my pastor came right away. He didn't send nobody. He came himself, and that meant the world to me. And he stayed until my father and my mother brought Chance from school. And I don't know how long he was there, but he was there long enough for them to travel to the other side of the city and come back. And he told Chance, and I was telling a friend last night, I said, I can still see her face. Her countenance totally changed. Heart she didn't know what to do. She didn't really know how to process that. All she saw was loved ones around because she loves family. So all she saw was loved ones around. So when Pastor Orr told her that, her countenance changed and she did lay on my shoulder. Her little tear fell. And after that, she went about her day. Of course, Riley was 2. She had no idea what was going on. But from that point, from that day, of course, they did not attend the actual service. But from that day, we stayed with my mom. And when we got home, they knew that my husband was not there. And I don't remember deliberately what happened during January, February, March. I can't remember exactly. I know the girls were in school. I know I was taking them every day. Of course, that community was super, super supportive of my family during that time. Chance did enter therapy right away. She started counseling in January, and so did I. And so that really did help her get through the rest of her school year. So
for people who are listening too, especially in the Black community, there's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with, you know, reaching out, you know, being able to talk about things. You know, we you know, grew up in so much of the time of like just keep it in. Men too, especially, like don't cry, like don't have any downtimes and issues and whatnot too. So, you know, thank you for kind of
touching on that. And Charles, what about you with your
girls? With ours, we were at MD Anderson because we were moved from Memphis for our Erin to get a stem cell transplant. So moved to Houston. She was getting a stem cell transplant, and the day that she passed, I remember I was getting the girls ready for school because we couldn't all be in the hospital. So my mom was here, and her mom was here, and they were at the hospital with her. And I was getting the girls from school, and I got a call that said, "You need to get here." And it was at 6:25 in the morning. I remember that. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to drop the girls off, and then I'll be right up there." And as soon as I got there, that's when she took her last breath. And first thing I did, I I called Cedric Washington, because he was familiar with the situation. I said, Sid, he was like, say less. And he took everything for me. He called everybody. He got the guys together. He got everybody and told them everything that happened. And it was still surreal, because you remember it, but it's like Ricky said, you're going through the motions. You're going through the motions. And I remember when I had to get the girls, and I said, we need to talk. And we had that moment. We went to counseling. We went to family counseling, and the best thing about our counseling was it's orchestrated for kids and adults, but the kids would go off with other kids who had a loss too. So they would be with other children who experienced loss, so they could all get that sense of family and familiarity too. And then I would be with other adults who had since lost, and then we would all get together, and then we all talked about our situation, what we went through, and then we just dismissed from there. So therapy is you can't go through something without saying you need somebody or someone to listen to you, and not even give you a response, but just listen, because that's all we need sometimes, just someone to listen and just not judge, because it's hard when you're going through something and you feel like somebody's going to be like, oh, he's a single dad, and I need to have pity on him. It's not about pity. I just want someone to listen to me and hear what I'm going through, and not tell me that it's going to be, you're crazy, or it's, you don't have to worry about this. I just want you to listen. And that's my only thing is for me. And that was for me, because I just needed someone to listen to me and just understand that, I'm having moments, or I'm having days, what am I to do?
Yeah.
Now, Charles, Erin was sick. So, she was diagnosed with cancer. So did you guys, when she was diagnosed, did you guys sit down and talk to, your girls? Or, because I'm thinking about families who maybe having that, because a lot of times, our parents didn't tell us, before you just woke up and then they passed away. You're like, well, when were they sick, right?
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying?
18
So,
years.
yeah. So my thing is, for those who maybe having cancer now with younger kids, what would you say, or what would you share with them about talking with their kids about, cancer?
The biggest thing for us is, I'm very introverted, so I'm very quiet.
And Erin was the complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
She was like, hey,
she was.
She was the right mother. She was the complete opposite.
Hit the canvas back. Yeah, hit the canvas back.
Exactly. So the one thing that she was very adamant about was making sure the girls knew her story and everything that she went through. So the girls would go to her oncologist. The girls would go to Children's Hospital. They would see everything that's going on, so they could be prepared to the situation, and they wouldn't be thrown at them if something wasn't happening, because we never anticipated this would occur. But she was always adamant about ensuring that they knew. And that's one thing I would tell people: kids are resilient. They know even if you don't think they know. So if there's something going on, especially health-wise, let them know it so it won't be pressed upon them at any time, because they'll understand more if you tell them, as opposed to if you throw it at them all of a sudden, especially if they know their parents been sick. And kids know when their parents been sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely too. One quick point I want to kind of touch on too. I know you kind of mentioned that a little bit there, like in terms of preparing, right? So nobody wants any of the situations you guys have been through. Like, is there anything that you would say in terms of just being prepared for anything? Rekeshia, I know I've talked to you about this before, about like, life insurance, or like going through like a wheel or anything like that. Was that any conversation that you guys had beforehand, or something that you're like, hey, I want to tell somebody else who may possibly go through some of that? Like, what are some things or tips that you would give to, somebody who may, go through the unthinkable, in a situation?
Well, I will say that it doesn't make grieving per se easier, but it makes your financial situation easier. Imagine, as I tell anybody, imagine you having to uproot your children who have already experienced an unexpected loss, and now they have to move their school, they have to move from their home. So all of these different changes at one time could cause a lot of different behavior changes. You know, it could cause a lot, it could trigger a lot of mood swings. And so just extremely thankful that I had a very responsible husband who loved his family, not just verbally, but he is the ideal man. I'm gonna be honest with you. He is still taking care of his family from the grave. And I tell my girls all the time, you had an amazing father on earth. And so even in the grave, he will continue to do his part. And so for anybody, to that question, to anybody who doesn't want to face what could potentially be, you definitely want to take care of your financial home. Of course, that's what I do for a living. But you definitely want to make sure that you are living on a budget. You have an emergency fund. You want to make sure you have a will. You want to make sure that you have enough life insurance, because with the family of 4, a $25,000 policy that Pastor Orr talks about, it's not going to work. My girls are in a private school. Private school tuition is more than what people make in a salary. I'm going to be honest with you, just being transparent. And I know that Chance and Riley has gotten through many days in their lives because of their community at school. And so I can't imagine ripping that from under them in this space that we're in. It's the village for sure, because at any moment, I can call the teacher. You don't want to listen? That's okay. You want to talk to your teacher? Because the trust is there. But imagine me taking them from their school during this time. There is no trust. There is no rapport, and you're in pain, like, and you're hurting, you know. But you've got to build this newfound relationship, and so maybe I wouldn't have that per se, because I would have to build that. So just making sure that, you know, families are responsible. That's important, and so I'm thankful that that was taken care of. It's unfortunate that we had to do what we had to do earlier than we expected, but that is a conversation that Cleo and I had. Just one good one. It's all we needed. You know, it's not something that you want to talk about, but it's one good conversation that you want to make sure that your family is in a better situation or the same situation if mom or dad passes away. So definitely important to do.
Okay. Yeah. Charles, you want to, I don't know if you want to say anything on that or not. We can.
Just same thing Rekeshia said. I mean, the biggest thing is, and amongst our community, is burial insurance. You don't need burial insurance. Just get a life insurance policy. If you have younger kids, put them in a trust so they can get their funds when they get a certain age and not touch that. You just want to make sure that your family's taken care of. That's the biggest thing. And as men and women, I mean, we know what that means. You know, we want to make sure that they are having the same lifestyle, if not better than before. So you don't want to have them, like Rekeshia said, have to uproot them consistently. And that's the biggest thing that we didn't do, because we had moved from Memphis to Houston. And I didn't want them to go back to Memphis just to put them in the same school or anything. So that's why we're still in Houston, because they have such a sense of community here.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure to have one conversation, like he said, and just write it down, and you can get it. You can get it taken care of.
Girl dad right there too. Good girl, hashtag girl dad. The 2 broke best friends.
So we're gonna lighten it a little bit, but let's talk about their legacy. Let's talk about Cleo legacy. Let's talk about Aaron legacy. What are you guys setting for Aaron legacy? Because I mean, I know Aaron she was like, she was full of life. So and then Cleo's so humble and just so Rekeshia, you're the Aaron, like you're so energetic,
just all over the place.
Oh yeah. So but how are you guys how are you guys leading their legacy? What are you guys sharing with your kids about them? You know, especially Rekeshia, you know, with Riley being young, she's a baby, you know, so how are you guys keeping their legacy alive? So if you guys just want to share that.
Well, I'm big on posting things consistently whenever it's the birthday or anniversary or the day that she passed away. I'm always posting something on Facebook just in remembrance of her. I always going back and looking at old videos that she's done, because I mean, she's, like you all said, you know, she was we were always filming, taking pictures, doing you know, Jeff. You know,
I love it.
But they were. I mean, we're always going back and looking at videos, and you know, we'll do balloons and send those in the air. All things to remember her legacy, and you know, we always try to take a piece of her wherever we go. So that's the biggest thing we're just trying to do, just so she's never forgotten. And that was her biggest thing, is never be forgotten. Yeah. So we're just doing things like that to ensure that her legacy stays remembered.
Now, how often do your girls talk about her and all of that stuff? And do you guys have a conversation?
We have a conversation. It's less than it was before, but that's just a part of getting older and transitioning. You know, they still know who their mom was. They'll still say, you know, I remember this with mom, or I remember when we didn't do this. You know, they still remember her, and that's the biggest thing. You know, we have a conversation at least maybe once a week, or now maybe 2 times a week. But it's there, but it's not as it was before. And I just don't want them to ever forget. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Miss Rekeshia?
So this space for me, it is a space of ministry. No matter how I try to dodge this type of ministry, because I've been dealt this hand, so I have decided to be obedient, which makes life a lot easier.
Okay.
It's following his will, our life becomes quite easy, right?
It does. It does. It's not like you're not as tired from running.
Right.
On part 2, after death do us part.
This is the question. I think this is it. This is the me question here. So afterwards, dating, yes, no, and how, if so, or if not now, when do you think that would be?
Oh God.
You're real cute.
Like, I'm gonna give her 6 months.
That one right there. Yeah.
I can go first.
Well, we gonna let you. I was gonna do my rerouting though.
Subscribe. New episodes every Tuesday of the Laugh, Learn, Love podcast with Mr. and Mrs. Mister.